So where does tributyrin come in, and butyrate in general, but tributyrin especially, come in with histamine issues?
Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
I mean, basically, there's a few things, right? Like we need to protect the mast cells with the mucus layer. So we need to have some mucus layer fixing. And then also in the research, butyrate has been able to basically soothe the mast cells. So it sort of slows or even in some cases inhibits histamine release. And so that's, I mean, pretty powerful right there. And what I've seen in our customer group is people who are already on like DAO enzyme, which, breaks down histamine. They're on a quercetin, they're on a um, maybe even an antihistamine or something to try to really block the histamine release. And maybe they're stuck on a very antihistamine diet, which can be, one of the most restrictive diets in the world, honestly. Um, they recover really quickly on tributyrin. So they're able to double their foods sometimes in 60 days. Their various issues that they have seem to go away pretty rapidly when they find their ideal dose. And so I've never found anything that's quite this amazing for mast cell issues and histamine issues. For those people where the first layer of interventions isn't getting the job done. And then what do? It's kind of like when you're in that microbiome dysbiosis cycle where you have to keep taking foods out, taking foods out, taking foods out. How do you ever get back to a resilient gut that can eat all this stuff? And that's where, coming in with a tributyrin supplement. And what butyrate also does, as soon as it's inside the cells and across into the portal vein, is it helps stimulate T helper cells and T reg cells. And these two cell types are like so important for immune systems that are like out of whack.
They're the ones that kind of tell the other cells what to do and attack this or don't attack this. And we've done some pretty extensive webinars on gut immune cell, and Treg cells, when they're out of whack, are the ones where everything goes sideways.
Yeah. And you can begin to regulate those with tributyrin or sodium butyrate for that matter.
Cool. So that has autoimmune related benefits. So that's probably where you see the benefits of the colitis and the Crohn's studies and things, is kind of regulating that immune response in the gut that gets really out of whack.
The other thing is highly constipated people. So people stuck on laxatives or like high doses of magnesium oxide or citrate or something like that to use the bathroom. It's counterintuitive because the research shows that using butyrate for IBS-C helps, and it shows that constipated people have less butyrate. But the one of the things that tributyrin does and butyrates do is they slow the motility. They regulate the cell's motility in the gut. And so you got to go really slow and really low. And we find that sort of ecosystem restoration happens in these people where if they take one capsule every 3 days, they can pretty much use their magnesiums and their vitamin C's or their laxatives or whatever to stay regular. And then slowly at like week 4, week 6, week 8, they start to go every other day, every day. And then sometimes, like usually when they get to every day, like something happens and their reliance on these osmotic laxatives or true laxatives starts to like go way down. And so my theory is that's when you're starting to actually get that oxygen pH balance back, and you're actually starting to get the ecosystem restoring. But that is like the only quote unquote side effect, is too much of tributyrin X for your body will constipate.
So I don't know if you can speak in a generality. You're saying if you take too much, it can back you up.
Yeah, what I can say is that it's the best thing I've ever seen for regulating loose stools and diarrhea. And so traveler's diarrhea is a lot of the studies, IBS-D is a lot of the studies. And so again, prebiotics are great. Enzymes and HCl is how I used to try to control it in high dose curcumin, but nothing works like tributyrin X for slowing motility down. Yeah, so it does regulate motility. So too fast motility and too slow motility. So it's a bit like an adaptogen, but for those people who are constipated, you have to go much slower, because at least my theory is at this point, which hasn't been totally proven out, is that the constipated people seem to have even less butyrate and seem to be more butyrate sensitive than anyone else out there. Even mast cell people are like this is easier for them. But the constipated folks seem to be very, very sensitive to butyrate supplementation until they get to a level of like reconstruction on the gut, and which point things begin to like regulate again. So it's sort of a counterintuitive thing. And
Is this contraindicated for SIBO? Safe to
no,
take with SIBO? I don't see any reason why it would be, but I'm just.
no, in fact, it typically helps SIBO, especially anything that's bloating or pain related SIBO, because the other thing is it's super anti-inflammatory to the gut, and the studies around butyrate are reducing of pain. So more butyrate equals less pain. More butyrate usually equals less bloating. And so, like as far as SIBO prevention or knocking the SIBO out once and for all, I think it's a worthy test to add to a full protocol. It's not going to do it on its own.